Olaf II Haraldsson, later known as St. Olaf, was king of Norway from 1015 to 1028. He was posthumously given the title Rex Perpetuus Norvegiae and canonized in Nidaros by Bishop Grimkel, 1 year after his death in the Battle of Stiklestad, on 29 July 1030. His remains were enshrined in Nidaros Cathedral, built over his burial site. Olaf's local canonization was in 1164 confirmed by Pope Alexander III, making him a universally recognized saint of the Roman Catholic Church. He is also a canonized saint of the Eastern Orthodox Church, and one of the last famous Western saints before the Great Schism. The exact position of St Olaf's grave in Nidaros has been unknown since 1568, due to the Lutheran iconoclasm in 1536–37. St Olaf is symbolized by the axe in Norway's coat of arms, and the Olsik is still his day of celebration. The Order of St. Olaf is named after him. Modern historians generally agree that Olaf inclined to violence and brutality, and they accuse earlier scholars of neglecting this side of Olaf's character. Name: Olaf II's Old Norse name is Olaf Haraldsson. During his lifetime he was known as Olaf the Fat, or the Stout, or simply as Olaf the Big. In Norway today, he is commonly referred to as Olav den Hellige or Heilige Olav in honor of his sainthood. Olaf Haraldsson had the given name Olaf in Old Norse. Olav is the modern equivalent in Norwegian, formerly often spelt Olaf. His name in Icelandic is Olafur, in Faroese Olavur, in Danish Olaf, in Swedish Olaf. Olav was the traditional speaking in England, preserved in the name of medieval churches dedicated to him. Other names, such as Olaf hin Helge, Olavus Rex, and Olaf are used interchangeably. He is sometimes referred to as Rex Perpetuus Norvegiae, a designation which goes back to the 13th century. The term Ola Nordmann as epithet of the archetypal Norwegian may originate in this tradition, as Olav was for centuries the most common male name in Norway. Background: Olaf was born in Ringerike. His mother was Asta Gudbrandsdatter, and his father was Harald Grensky, great-great-grandchild of Harald Fairhair, the first king of Norway. Harald Grensky died when Asta Gudbrandsdatter was pregnant with Olaf. She later married Sigurd Syr, with whom she had other children including Harald Hardrada, who would reign as a future king of Norway. Reign. A widely used account of Olaf's life is found in Heimskringla from c. 1225. Although its facts are dubious, the saga recounts Olaf's deeds as follows. About 1008, Olaf landed on the Estonian island of Saaremaa. The Osilians, taken by surprise, had at first agreed to pay the demands made by Olaf, but then gathered an army during the negotiations and attacked the Norwegians. Olaf nevertheless won the battle. As a teenager he went to the Baltic, then to Denmark and later to England. Skaldic poetry suggests he led a successful seaborne attack which pulled down London Bridge, though this is not confirmed by Anglo-Saxon sources. This may have been in 1014, restoring London and the English throne to Ethelred the Unready and removing Canute. Olaf saw it as his call to unite Norway into one kingdom, as his ancestor Harald Fairhair had largely succeeded in doing. On the way home he wintered with Duke Richard II of Normandy. This region had been conquered by Norsemen in the year 881. Duke Richard was himself an ardent Christian, and the Normans had also previously converted to Christianity. Before leaving, Olaf was baptized in Rouen. Olaf returned to Norway in 1015 and declared himself king, obtaining the support of the 5 petty kings of the uplands. In 1016 at the Battle of Najar he defeated Earlswain, one of the Earls of Leyden, hitherto the virtual ruler of Norway. He founded the town of Borg, later to be known as Sarpsborg, by the waterfall Sarpsfossen in Østfold County. Within a few years he had won more power than had been enjoyed by any of his predecessors on the throne. He had annihilated the petty kings of the south, subdued the aristocracy, asserted his suzerainty in the Orkney Islands, and conducted a successful raid on Denmark. He made peace with King Olaf Konung of Sweden through Thornir the law speaker, and was for some time engaged to Olaf's daughter, Princess Ingegerd, though without Olaf's approval. In 1019 Olaf married Astrid Olafsdotter, Olaf's illegitimate daughter and the half-sister of his former fiancé. Their daughter Wulfhild married Ordulf, Duke of Saxony, in 1042. Numerous royal, grand ducal and ducal lines are descended from Ordulf and Wulfred, including the House of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha. Maud of Wales, daughter of King Edward VII of the United Kingdom, was the mother of King Olaf V of Norway. So Olaf and his son Harald V, the present King of Norway, are thus descended from Olaf. But Olaf's success was short-lived. In 1026 he lost the Battle of the Helgeir, and in 1029 the Norwegian nobles, seething with discontent, supported the invasion of King Canute the Great of Denmark. Olaf was driven into exile in Kiev and Rus. He stayed for some time in Sweden in the province of Närke where, according to local legend, he baptized many locals. In 1029, Canute's Norwegian regent, Jarl Håkon Eriksson, was lost at sea. Olaf seized the opportunity to win back the kingdom, but he fell in 1030 at the Battle of Stiklestad, where some of his own subjects from central Norway took arms against him. Canute, though distracted by the task of governing England, managed to rule Norway for 5 years after Stiklestad, with his son Sven and Sven's mother Ælfgifu as regents. However, their regency was unpopular, and when Olaf's illegitimate son Magnus laid claim to the Norwegian throne, Sven and Ælfgifu were forced to flee. Problems of Olaf as Christianizing king. Traditionally, Olaf has been seen as leading the Christianization of Norway. However, most scholars of the period now recognize that Olaf himself had little to do with the Christianization process. Olaf brought with him Grimkel, who was usually credited with helping Olaf create episcopal sees and further organizing the Norwegian church. Grimkel, however, was only a member of Olaf's household and no permanent sees were created until c. 1100. Also, Olaf and Grimkel most likely did not introduce new ecclesiastical laws to Norway, but these were ascribed to Olaf at a later date. Olaf most likely did try to bring Christianity to the interior of Norway, where it was less prevalent. Also, questions have been raised about the nature of Olaf's Christianity itself. It seems that Olaf, like many Scandinavian kings, used his Christianity to gain more power for the monarchy and centralize control in Norway. The skaldic verses attributed to Olaf do not speak of Christianity at all, but in fact use pagan references to describe romantic relationships, and in some cases, this being because Olaf likely had many wives. Anders Winroth, in his book The Conversion of Scandinavia, tries to make sense of this problem by arguing that there was a long process of assimilation, in which the Scandinavians adopted, one by one and over time, individual Christian practices. Winroth certainly does not say that Olaf was not Christian, but he argues that we cannot think of any Scandinavians as quickly converting in a full way as portrayed in the later hagiographies or sagas. Olaf himself is portrayed in later sources as a saintly miracle-working figure to help support this quick view of conversion for Norway. Although the historical Olaf did not act this way, as seen especially in the skaldic verses attributed to him.